Muchísimas gracias, Irene. Y hablo un poco de castellano, pero no bastante bien para hacer toda la ponencia. Y voy a hablar en inglés y lo siento, pero voy a leer porque tengo miedo de olvidar algo. First of all, I'd like to thank Jorge and Virginia and all the team of Ludantia for organizing this wonderful and long-lasting event. In my opinion, it's a project of research. Jorge said before, this is a fantasy castle, this is an imaginary castle. Yes, but I think this is also a very important project of research and evaluation and reflection. And of course, this is a very important moment to share ideas. So thank you very much for inviting me and to be a member of the board. I'm very glad to be here. This is an important opportunity to enrich the network of professionals who work with architecture and education. MAXXI is the first and the only one national museum devoted to contemporary arts in Italy, contemporary art, contemporary architecture, design and photography. In particular, I work with teenagers, secondary schools, young adults, and with immigrants and ethnic communities. This is the museum. Today I'm going to talk about a 3 years project that was very exciting for us, but also it was very challenging. The project Il Museo tra i banchi di scuola, the museum between school desks, devoted to pupils of secondary schools. Over the years, we tried to involve communities of peripheral areas of Rome with different projects, and the Museum Between School Desks, with its 3 editions, is one of these projects. It was carried out in collaboration with different national and local institutions. For example, the Ministry of Education, the Italian Ministry of Education, University and Research, and in collaboration with different schools. Every step of the project in every one of the 3 editions was assessed and evaluated along the way and at the end of every edition. In every edition, we built a multidisciplinary team of museum professionals, of teachers and trainees. That means students of art history at University La Sapienza and students of the Fine Arts Academy in Rome. In every edition, because it's the methodology of MAXXI education, pupils did not copy the artworks, but they reinterpreted them and reinterpreted the artist's process of creation, as well as the meanings, the contents inside the artworks to create their own meanings, the new meanings. We did always participatory design with teachers and also with pupils. The 3 editions of the project represent 3 steps of the same path. First step, students go to MAXXI, work on its permanent collection, and then go back to school, transforming the space of the school building with their own works. Second step, MAXXI go to 3 Roman schools, spreading its permanent collection and helping students to transform the space, the school space as well, thanks to the setup of original artworks in the school. Third step, students, MAXXI, and one artist, Pietro Ruffo of MAXXI Permanent Collection, create a brand new artwork signed by both the artist and the students, transforming the school space also thanks to its setup in the school space. The first edition of Il Museo Tre Banchi di Scuola was carried out in collaboration with the school IC, that means Istituto Comprensivo Largo Castelseprio, and the participation of trainees of Sapienza University. This comprehensive public school gathers students from 6 to 13 years old. That means primary school and the first degree of the Italian secondary school. It's located in Labaro district, a peripheral area of northwest Rome, not far from one of the biggest gypsy camps of the city. In 2014, on the occasion of the new display of MAXXI's permanent collection entitled Non basta ricordare, Remembering is not enough, the students from 6 graduating classes at the IC Largo Castelseprio and their teachers selected, reinterpreted, and reconstructed 6 works from the collection in the spaces of their school building. Each class adopted a work of art and the artist who made it. These are the artworks and the artists chosen. Gilbert and George, The General Jungle or Carrying on Sculpting. Sol Lewitt, Wall Drawing number 375. Kara Walker, The Emancipation Approximation. Alfredo Jar, Infinite Cell. Anish Kapoor, Widow, and Francis Alice, Slippers II. In every one of the slides, you can see the original work of a detail of the original artworks, students at work in the museum and at school, and then the progressive transformation of the school space. By immersing themselves in forms, materials, and spaces, the youngsters discover the messages of the works and formulated their own response. Social stereotypes and homologation, new forms of slavery, freedom and information, territory and urban decay, the invisibility of the weeks, sensory perception and the transformation of common contents into new and stimulating environment are just some of the themes the students dealt with along a path characterized by discovery and learning. This educational path, undertaken by peers and shared with young trainees, comprised visit explorations to the museum and workshops at school planned and led by art history students of the university. The choice of the works focused on 6 installations, owing to the ability of this artistic form to involve the public, especially young people, and to profoundly influence the space where they were placed thanks to their physical, perceptive, and, of course, emotional repurposing. As you can see in the pictures, students reinterpreted the object, the artworks, creating 10 new installations set up in the space of the school building from the hall in the ground floor to the roof. These new works were showcased in an exhibition at the end of the school year, during which students, acting as cultural mediators, told the public, peers, families, Labaro inhabitants, about their work and their experience. The majority of the students' installations became permanent. They significantly improved the quality of the school space, and the headmaster, the principal, together with students, decided to keep them. Oops, sorry. quickly. The second edition of Il Museo tra i banchi di scuola, the biggest and the most challenging one, came to life in 2015 when the permanent collections were dismantled, and for a few months they remained inaccessible to the museum's visitors. The project was carried out thanks to the support, the important support of the Italian Ministry of Education, University and Research. It was realized in collaboration with 3 schools, the same of the first edition, IC Largo Castelseprio, and 2 secondary schools, the Istituto di Istruzione Superiore Europa Virginia Woolf and the Istituto di Istruzione Superiore Cine TV Roberto Rossellini, and with the collaboration with 3 architects, Irando Espirito Santo, Jordi Bernadò, and Bernard Huri. Of course, with the participation of trainees of La Sapienza and the Fine Arts Academy of Rome. If in the first edition students went to the museum and back to school, in this second edition, MAXXI went to not 1, not 2, but 3 schools. In answer to a request made by our artistic director, Huan Ru, we began working on an outreach project, and as I said, thanks to the support of the Italian Ministry of Education, 3 secondary schools located in semi-peripheral and peripheral areas of Rome hosted 3 original works from MAXXI permanent collection. The artwork extension Fate of the Brazilian artist Irando Espirito Santo, a series of photos of the Catalan photographer Jordi Bernadò representing spaces and places of power, and the installation Derailing Beirut of the Lebanese architect Bernard Huri. A team comprising museum professionals, educators, teachers, interns involved the students in visit explorations, workshops, labs at the museum, in the city, and at school, in order to share learning models and build paths of learning together. In the slides you can see, in this case, workshops at IC Largo Castelseprio, at the Istituto di Istruzione Superiore Europa Virginia Woolf, and in this case in the city of Rome. Workshop at Istituto di Istruzione Superiore Roberto Rossellini. The relocation of the original artworks to the schools was preceded by visits to the museum, as I said, and lessons with some of the professionals, for example, conservators, registrars, restorers, who deal with the collections habitually. The students had the chance to visit the storage rooms at MAXXI and the restoration laboratories. They had the chance to discuss critical points and, as well, good practices. Each class involved in the project was given a task related to the work, such as managing its security, for example, the positioning of distancers, the surveillance shifts during recess, and of course, moving the artwork from classroom, moving from classroom to classroom of the students. Or the monitoring of the work's state of conservation, thanks to the writing of a diary, organizing the communication and the cultural mediation of the work, for example, the writing of a newsletter, the writing of captions, guided tours, and so on. As you can see, we tried to create a museum outside the museum, made by teens who followed the example of the professionals and took care of the work while it was physically inside the school. Last but not least, the learning process led to the creation of artistic products inspired by the work hosted by the school, in the school. Ones capable of reading the contents and reinterpreting them based on the sensitivity of the young participants in the project. Students, and of course the artworks, gradually transformed the school space here too, as during the first edition of the project. Two of the three artists, architects, Irando Espirito Santo here, and Bernardo and Bernard Huri here, specifically came to Rome to meet students. The exhibitions in the three schools lasted a week and welcomed not just the students' families, but the inhabitants of the neighborhoods where the schools are located. It was an opportunity to visit a work from the MAXXI close to home and to discover how the students had succeeded in turning it into something for their own. As I stated before, one of the aims of MAXXI Education Office and of course of the project Il Museo tra i banchi di scuola is to make the museum, the foremost temple of culture even today, into a forum, into a dynamic institution, one that is open and accessible to communities. The third step of the project was creating a collective, brand new artwork for MAXXI Permanent Collection, together students and Italian artist Pietro Ruffo. The third edition was probably the most conceptually complex one, and it came to life in 2016 on the occasion of the new display of the Permanent Collection called Collezione Composizione, Collection Composition, and focused on the principle of composition in contemporary art and contemporary architecture. The students enrolled at the IC Largo Castelseprio. In this third edition, we come back to one school, the first one, the IC Largo Castelseprio. The school involved in all three editions of the project work with Pietro Ruffo, inspired by his artwork, this one, Icosaedro, called Icosaedro. Ruffo is trained as an architect, puts the drawing, the map, and history at the center of his work. His formal and conceptual attention toward the composition was what made him particularly suited to leading the students' work, while maintaining the unity between art and architecture, suggested by the new exhibition of the MAXXI collection. The students and the headmaster, the principal of IC Largo Castelseprio, and the artist can talk better than me of the project, so let's start to watch the video, just a couple of minutes, because, no. Okay.
Anni fa nasce il progetto Il Museo tra i banchi di scuola, grazie alla collaborazione tra il MAXXI Educazione, PC Largo Castelseprio dell'Abaron e l'Accademia di Belle Arti di Roma.
Lo scopo principale era avvicinare i nostri ragazzi alla bellezza
La bellezza è intesa proprio come balsamo dell'anima, come possibilità di esprimere se stessi al meglio. Il museo tra i banchi di scuola vuole portare il museo tra i banchi di scuola. Fondamentalmente si propone di superare i limiti e le barriere fisiche del museo in modo tale da raggiungere il pubblico di domani, cioè gli allievi delle scuole primarie e secondarie. Abbiamo potuto far lavorare i ragazzi direttamente con l'artista Pietro Ruffo, l'artista della collezione del MAXXI, che è venuto qui a scuola e ha realizzato un'opera con 140, come li ha chiamato lui, piccoli colleghi, facendogli sicuramente un gran regalo.
Pietro Ruffo è una persona particolare, ha un modo tutto suo di ragionare, secondo me.
È molto simpatico, ha il classico stile da artista, apparentemente disordinato, ma secondo me ha anche un suo fascino.
Lavorare con lui è stato bello, è un artista un po' anche che si diverte disegnando soprattutto, e che ci fa divertire anche a noi facendo appunto questi progetti.
Cioè si concentra molto sulla nostra opinione, ed è una cosa bella, cioè perché è bello essere interpellati su queste cose.
E la sua opera sin dalle origini si è sempre basata sulla stratificazione tra riproduzione cartografica della realtà, cioè geografia, e studio della storia comportamentale dei popoli e delle nazioni. Ha realizzato un'opera studiata e incentrata sul quartiere in cui loro vivono, che hanno dovuto perlustrare, visitare e l'hanno dovuto interpretare a seconda dei propri stati d'animo, del modo in cui loro lo vivono, ma non soltanto negli spazi pubblici o nel verde. Il workshop quindi è stato strutturato in 3 momenti fondamentali. La prima fase prevedeva una visita esplorazione del quartiere, durante la quale i ragazzi avrebbero dovuto prestare particolare.
Sorry for this rude interruption, but the time is stressing. So just to came back to the end of the presentation. As you watched, our methodology was the same: visit explorations at MAXXI and workshops carried on by the artists together with MAXXI Education in the Labaro neighborhood and at school, because the artwork was a reinterpretation after an analysis and a physical walking and a physical analysis of the Labaro neighborhood. The artwork was a reinterpretation of this kind of experience. The outcome was the production of a brand new work called Labaro Blue, quoting the name of the neighborhood, of course, for MAXXI Art Permanent Collection, signed by both Ruffo and the students. The artwork is still showed in the school hall at the ground floor at the entrance, enriching the space. Just to quickly close, in conclusion, the 3 editions have in common the methodology, the transformation of the space by means of contemporary art, because we are a museum of contemporary art and contemporary architecture, the participation of university and academy students, the multidisciplinary team, and last but not least, the centrality of pupils, their ways of learning, their ways of creation, and the centrality of the process, the learning process. We did not focus on the final products, but we focused on the processes, because contemporary art, as well as learning, are processes. Thank you very much.
Gracias.